Hi gorgeous! Happy Frugal Friday to you. In today's video, I'm sharing an application demo and full review with you on the new Wet n Wild makeup brushes. Now, I originally thought that these were going to be limited edition because it seems like every time Wet n Wild puts a brush out, they pull it back quicker than you can buy it. So I was hoping that these would not be, and it doesn't look like they are limited edition. They're in the permanent display at my local Walgreens. They are on their website. There's nothing in there about them being limited edition. If I'm wrong, let me know, but that is what I gather from what I've seen so far. Now, if you go on Wet n Wild's website, they do have a few brushes on there that are labeled online only that you cannot get in stores. I didn't get them in time for this video, but I am planning on using them in future Frugal Friday tutorials. They have a fan brush that looks fantastic. All right, but anyway, I'm gonna show you what each of the brushes look like, give you my full review, how they apply the makeup on the face, and here we go. First brush I have to share with you is one that I can't remember the name of it to save my life, and it's not on Wet n Wild's website either, which I found rather odd, but it is in stores. I'm just gonna call it a large shader brush. I typically love this kind of a brush because it is so versatile in many different applications that you can do on your eyes. One of the ways that I like to use it is for applying eyeshadow in the crease. You can also use it for blending out the edges of an eyeshadow that was applied in the crease. It also works just as well for applying a little bit of eyeshadow into the outer V. And I found this brush to be extremely soft. The bristles are more tightly packed, so it does do a really great job of picking up product and applying it onto the eyes. Next one I have to share with you is the small eyeshadow brush. The bristles are shorter in this brush than the last one that I shared with you. It is a little bit more tightly packed, and I use this brush for applying eyeshadow onto the lids. Now, the MAC 239 brush is my typical go-to brush for this kind of application, and for years I could never find a dupe that even came remotely close in comparison to it until now, and I feel very confident in telling you that because this brush picks up eyeshadow like a dream, just holds on to it in the brush until you're ready to apply it onto your eye, and it distributes the product very richly onto the eyes also. So very comparable to the 239, and this is my new drugstore favorite. Wet n Wild also made a crease brush, and this one is very fluffy. I would go so far as to compare it to the Sigma E25 brush, very similar shape and design, and this brush has a multitude of functions in application. One of the ways that you can use it is for applying eyeshadow into the crease, deposits the color evenly with no issues at all. You can also use this brush for blending out eyeshadow in the crease, and it triples as a outer V application brush. A little bit on the tips of the bristles goes a long way. Work it into the outer V, and the application is beautiful. Next up is the angled liner brush. Now, I feel like I may have gotten a bad one from Wet n Wild because when I took this one out of the package, it had a piece of glue attached to the top of the bristles that I ended up having to cut off. And when I started using it, it felt really scratchy against my skin. So I feel like that piece of glue that was stuck on there might have contributed to that. So if you've tried this brush and you felt like the bristles were soft, let me know because I am interested in seeing if that was indeed what happened here. At any rate, this is a great brush in the shape and design of it for applying eyeshadow onto the upper lash line, the lower lash line, and also for doing the brows. And even though mine was really scratchy and uncomfortable to work with, I do feel like it did a beautiful job on my brows. Moving on to face brushes. First one I have to share with you is the small concealer brush. This one has medium length bristles, tightly packed, but extremely soft against the skin, and that is what made it so comfortable to work with, especially on the under eye area, which can be very sensitive. In the demo I'm sharing with you here, I used only the concealer brush to blend the concealer under my eyes. I found it to be very comfortable to work with. It blended the concealer under my eyes very nicely, extremely soft against the skin, so it wasn't scratchy at all. And I felt like the concealer sinked in underneath my eyes nicely also. Now, if you were to ask me if I had preferred using a makeup sponge over this brush, or if the results would have been better either way, I feel like the results were comparable between the two. And even though I would typically go for a sponge rather than a brush, I wouldn't turn this brush down in a pinch if I had to use it, and I really liked the results much more than I thought I would. Then there is the small stippling brush, and this is used for applying foundation onto the face in a stippling motion. And when you stipple foundation onto the skin, it's adding a bunch of tiny dots onto the skin that eventually mold together, creating an airbrushed finish. This is the only brush out of the entire bunch that I was grossly disappointed in. So when I first bought all these brushes, first thing I did was wash them before I used them. And I noticed that the first time I washed this, it was shedding a lot. And the first 2 times I used it, it shed even more. And I was spending more time picking little hairs off of my face than applying the makeup, which became really annoying. So for that reason, I cannot recommend this brush. I didn't like it. I was not happy with it at all. But I had high hopes for the foundation brush, and this one is a paddle brush that you would use to apply foundation onto the face. And I had much better success with this brush than the one before it. It applied the foundation beautifully, really sank into the skin with this one. I didn't have any trouble blending around the tight areas of my face, and I felt like the results were equally beautiful by the time I was done. And the final brush I have to share with you is the angled contour brush. At least I think that's what it's called. This has an angled tip, very fluffy design, and it's an excellent brush for applying contour or blush. I use it for applying blush, and I have found that with using this brush, a little bit of product on the bristles goes a long way, because this is one of those brushes that will pick up a lot of product if you let it, and it can end up just depositing too much onto your face. But very soft against the skin, beautiful flawless finish with this one, and highly recommended. One of the other things I noticed about these new brushes from Wet n Wild is that they've taken a page out of Sonia Kashuk's book and put a groove into the handle for a more ergonomic design. So when you're holding it, it's very comfortable to use, it's very fluid, it feels like an extension of your hand. Very smart design with that. Overall, very happy with a majority of the brushes that I shared with you today from Wet n Wild. I feel like if you're looking for those professional results at an affordable price, it doesn't get any better than this. These are some of the best brushes I have ever tried from the drugstore at this price point. Let me know if you've tried any of these new brushes and which ones are your favorites. And if you enjoyed today's Frugal Friday episode, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more Frugal Fridays in the future, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Have a great weekend.